very good morning to you. I'm Katie Wilson and you're watching A News. Here are your top stories. Hamas returns the remains of 2 more Israeli hostages but says it needs more time to reach others. Trump says he has authorized covert CIA action in Venezuela. And NATO will implement additional measures to bolster its anti-drone capabilities. Thanks for joining us. Under the US-brokered Gaza peace plan, Hamas has so far released all 20 surviving Israeli hostages, but returned only 7 out of the 28 deceased. Another body handed over earlier this week was later confirmed not to be one of the hostages.
Mourners gathered at a cemetery in Jerusalem to bid farewell to slain Israeli hostage Daniel Shimon Peres, whose body was returned by Hamas earlier this week as part of a US-brokered deal to end the Gaza war. Israel says 2 bodies believed to be hostages also have been handed over through the Red Cross on Wednesday, though official identification is still pending. Under the US-brokered Gaza peace plan, Hamas has so far released all 20 living hostages, but returned only 7 of 28 dead captives. Another body handed over earlier this week was later confirmed not to be one of the hostages.
We stand clear when we say this. Hamas, the terror organization, is required to uphold its commitments to the mediators and return all of our hostages as part of the implementation of this agreement. We will not compromise on this, and we will spare no effort until our fallen hostages return, every last one of them. Hamas agreed to release all 48 of our hostages in phase 1 and made the specific confirmation to President Trump, and we are expecting to see the terror organization uphold their side of this agreement.
Hamas says it needs time and specialized equipment to recover the rest of the deceased from the ruins of Gaza. The group's armed wing said in a statement it was committed to the deal and had returned all the bodies of hostages it was able to reach. Israel's defense minister warned that fighting may resume if Hamas fails to uphold the deal, a sentiment echoed by US President Trump.
The Rafah border crossing between Egypt and the Gaza Strip is expected to reopen on Thursday to allow people to cross, with an EU mission set to be deployed there. It is not yet clear what restrictions will apply to those crossing. Israeli authorities did not immediately respond to requests for comment. Aid trucks have already started moving into Gaza, carrying food, medical supplies, fuel, cooking gas and equipment to repair critical infrastructure, ensuring essential support continues despite the border uncertainty. To other news now, and tensions are rising in Latin America after President Trump confirmed CIA operations in Venezuela, drawing strong condemnation from Caracas as well as warnings from Colombia. Trump says it's about stopping drugs and illegal migration, but other leaders are alarmed. The move has left the region on edge.
US President Donald Trump has confirmed he's authorized the CIA to carry out secret operations in Venezuela, a move he says is aimed at tackling drug trafficking and illegal migration.
And the way you look at it is every boat that we knock out, we save 25,000 American lives. So every time you see a boat and you feel badly, you say, wow, that's rough. It is rough, but if you lose 3 people and save 25,000 people, these are people that are killing our population. Every boat is saving 25,000 lives, and you can see it. The boats get hit, and you see that fentanyl all over the ocean. It's like floating in bags. It's all over the place, and it's a tremendous. We're saving tremendous amounts of lives.
Trump says the focus is now shifting to land operations and accused Venezuela of sending prisoners and people from mental institutions into the US, saying the move was to protect American lives, but did not confirm if Maduro was a target. In response, President Nicolas Maduro condemned what he called US aggression, urging Trump to choose peace over war. Venezuela's government formally protested the decision, calling it a serious violation of international law.
Listen to me. Not war, yes, peace. The people United States, from the people Bolivarian Republic.
Foreign Minister Ivan Gil said Caracas viewed the move with deep alarm, claiming it was part of a push for regime change aimed at seizing Venezuela's oil wealth. The country plans to raise the issue at the United Nations and with regional leaders. The Trump's announcement has sparked alarm across Latin America. Colombian President Gustavo Petro warned that any US military or intelligence operation in neighboring Venezuela could have grave consequences for regional stability.
Honestly, I'm not much of a fan of the policies pursued by the current government of Venezuela because I did not recognize it. I won't get into that. But I do know what can happen in Colombia, and that is my responsibility if missiles start falling over there, or, as announced today, if a violent operation begins by land carried out by CIA agents, they say, or by US Marines, or, as we already know, if missiles are launched at an unarmed civilian population, whether or not it is part of the drug trafficking chain, because that would run counter to the United Nations Human Rights Commission's resolution, which unanimously approved the Colombian resolution.
The move has heightened tensions in the region, leaving uncertainty over how tensions between the US and Venezuela will unfold.
Thousands of protesters in Peru took to the streets of Lima on Wednesday in the first major demonstrations against interim President José Herri, which quickly turned violent. Demonstrators demanded action on rising crime, the closure of Congress and a new constitution. Crowds set fire to fences and hurled Molotov cocktails and fireworks at police, who responded with tear gas. The unrest comes 6 days after the impeachment of former President Dina Boluarte, with Herri taking office, a move that has further inflamed tensions. President Trump has said that Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has assured him that India will stop buying Russian oil. He said the move could have significant implications for both Russia and economic relations with China.
This is a war that should have never started, but it's a war that Russia should have won in the first week, and they're going into the fourth year. And I want to see it stop. So I was not happy that India was buying oil. And he assured me today that they will not be buying oil from Russia. That's a big stop. If India doesn't buy oil, it makes it much easier. And they're not going to buy. They assured me they will, within a short period of time, they will not be buying oil from Russia. And they'll go back to Russia after the war's over.
NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte said on Wednesday, following a meeting of defence ministers in Brussels, that the alliance plans to step up and accelerate its efforts to strengthen counter-drone capabilities. Responding to a question about whether NATO and the European Union were duplicating efforts in this area, Rutte stressed that the two organisations are working closely together with no overlap in their activities. The ministers also discussed ways to enhance support for Ukraine and to bolster border defence amid the number of growing drone attacks across Europe.
We also discussed our deterrence and defence posture and some of the ways in which we are innovating to deal with new and novel challenges, including those posed by drones. As a result, NATO will implement a number of additional counter-drone measures that will build on and expand and accelerate our ability to counter drones. Earlier this month, 9 allies came together along with Ukraine to support Denmark's ability to counter potential drone threats. I think this is a powerful example of the quick and effective cooperation that is made possible through NATO. As we speak, in the context of Eastern Sentry, we are testing integrated systems that will help us detect, track and neutralize aerial threats. Innovation and adaptation are in this alliance's DNA. In this vein, we will continue to learn from and cooperate with Ukraine, speed up our own innovation, deepen cooperation with the private sector and more.
Let's stay with that drone threat to Europe, as talk of a drone wall is turning into one of the continent's most ambitious defence projects in decades. The idea gained ground after a Russian drone incursion into Polish airspace last month, an incident that exposed just how vulnerable Europe could be to aerial threats.
Europe is planning a high-tech drone wall, a new defence system designed to protect the continent from low-cost but dangerous drone attacks. The idea became urgent after more than 20 Russian drones entered Poland last month. shutting airports and forcing NATO jets to scramble. Warsaw says the attack was deliberate, showing that Europe's skies are vulnerable to modern drone warfare. So, what is the drone wall? It's not a physical barrier, but a network of technology. Radars to detect drones, jammers to disrupt them, interceptor drones to stop them, missiles for high-risk targets, and electronic systems to track threats in real time. All these layers will work together 24/7, creating a shield that can respond quickly to drones before they reach cities, airports, or critical infrastructure.
The drone wall is, of course, in its early stages, but the Baltic states are very keen on this, so stretching down through the Baltics, Poland, Germany is also within range of a lot of these Russian drones, and it's about integrating all of your air defense assets to work together in tandem, from ground radars, fighter jets, cheap interceptor drones, missiles, the whole range of capabilities and electronic warfare to jam these drones, all working in tandem around the clock. It's quite a challenge.
Europe wants the drone wall to be fully operational by 2027. It's part of a bigger project called the Eastern Flank Watch, which also includes an air defense shield and a defense space shield. The aim is to give Europe more control over its own security, especially as NATO and US support is no longer guaranteed. The project started with the Baltic and Nordic countries, but recent incursions in Denmark and Germany have pushed the EU to create a network covering the whole continent. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte says the plan is timely and necessary, warning that Europe cannot keep spending millions of euros shooting down drones that cost only a few $1,000s each.
The big challenge for the drone wall is to shoot these drones down or take them down with electronic warfare in a cost-effective way. You just can't be firing hundreds or even thousands of $1 million or $500,000 missiles at these drones that generally cost about $50,000 each. It's hard to put a firm price on these things. It's always changing, but that would not be sustainable from an industrial-based perspective or a cost perspective. That would be the Russians imposing a huge cost on us. So the challenge is to get the technologies, cheap interceptor drones, get the costs down.
If successful, the drone wall will stretch from the Baltic to the Black Sea, forming a layered shield across Europe's eastern flank. It could protect airports, energy sites, cities and military bases, showing that Europe is ready to face the new realities of modern warfare.
The UK has delivered more than 85,000 military drones to Ukraine in the past 6 months and plans to send more. Defence Secretary John Healey confirmed that £600 million has been invested this year to speed up drone production and deliveries. The drones include tens of thousands of FPV models used for precision strikes. Healey urged allies to boost drone production to counter Russia's growing use of drones. Meanwhile, China has sharply increased their supplies of drone parts to Russia, including a tenfold rise in fibre optic cables and lithium-ion batteries. Afghanistan and Pakistan have agreed to a temporary truce following a week of deadly cross-border clashes and reported airstrikes. Our correspondent Tamim Bahis has more on that from Kabul.
The Afghan government spokesperson has confirmed that a ceasefire between Pakistan and Afghanistan took effect at 5:30 p.m. local time on Wednesday. According to Afghan spokesperson Zabiullah Mujahid, the ceasefire was reached at Pakistan's request, and Afghan forces have been instructed to fully observe it, unless violated by the other side. Pakistan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs has also confirmed the truce, saying both sides are expected to engage in constructive discussions to find a peaceful solution. The agreement comes after a tense week that saw heavy exchanges of fire along the border and mounting civilian casualties. Earlier on Wednesday, reports surfaced of alleged Pakistani airstrikes in Kandahar and Kabul. A loud explosion was heard across the Afghan capital, but Taliban officials said it was caused by a fuel tanker that caught fire and exploded, not an airstrike. So far, neither Pakistan has taken responsibility nor have the Afghan authorities confirmed that airstrikes actually occurred. The United Nations has expressed concern about the recent clashes and urged both nations to protect civilians and prevent further loss of life. Tensions remain high, but for now, the ceasefire is holding. Both sides say they hope it will lead to dialogue after one of the most serious flare ups since the Taliban took power in 2021. Tamim Bahis in Kabul, A News.
The UK government has announced stricter English language requirements for people applying to live and work in the country. Our UK correspondent Zainab Farajzadeh has the details.
The United Kingdom is tightening its English language rules for immigrants. From 8th of January 2026, applicants for certain routes, including the skilled worker, high potential individual and scale-up visas, will need to meet a higher English language standard. At the moment, the required level is B1, roughly the same as GCSE English, but under the new rules, it's going up to B2, that's closer to A-level standard. The change means applicants will need stronger speaking, reading, writing and listening skills and must prove it by taking a secure English language test from a Home Office approved provider. The government says the move is designed to help migrants integrate better into British life, making it easier for them to work, study and communicate. But critics argue it could make the system less accessible, especially for people from non-English speaking countries who may not have access to advanced English training. Officials say there will be transitional arrangements, so people already in the UK on existing work routes won't immediately need to retake tests or reapply under the new rules. Another major change affects international students. From January 2027, the graduate visa, which currently allows students to stay in the UK for 2 years after finishing their studies, will be cut to 18 months. The government says the aim is to encourage graduates to move more quickly into skilled work rather than using their visa for casual or low-paid jobs. But many universities and student groups warn the move could make the UK less attractive for international students who already face higher visa fees and living costs. Zainab Farajzadeh, A News, Manchester, United Kingdom.
Russian and Syrian officials held talks in Moscow on Wednesday to explore energy cooperation, including potential oil projects in Syria. That's according to Russian Deputy Prime Minister Alexander Novak. Novak said Syria is facing a severe shortage of oil as it seeks to rebuild its economy and infrastructure after years of conflict. He noted that Russian companies have long been active in Syrian oil fields. The discussions took place during President al-Shara's visit to Moscow, where he also met with President Putin. Search and rescue teams from Turkey's Disaster Management Authority departed for Gaza as part of the ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas. According to a senior official, Ankara will take part in a joint task force alongside Israel, the United States, Qatar and Egypt, established to locate the bodies of deceased hostages in Gaza, whose locations are unknown. Transit through Central Asian countries has soared in the past 4 years, signalling the region's growing role as a major trade corridor across Eurasia. Our correspondent Fariza Kalamirzana reports from Almaty.
Transit through Central Asian countries has surged by 70% over the past 4 years, according to the Eurasian Development Bank's Transport Projects Observatory. The region is steadily strengthening its role as a major transit hub in Eurasia. Even without direct access to the sea, Central Asia is proving it can be a crucial link in international logistics thanks to its strategic location and ambitious infrastructure projects. Today, 80% of all transit traffic flows through Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, and more than 70% of cargo moves along routes connecting China with Russia, Turkey, Afghanistan and Europe. Experts say this growth is not just a temporary spike, but a lasting trend, one that's expected to continue. And by 2035, more than $52 billion will be invested in transport corridors across Central Asia. However, specialists emphasize that building infrastructure alone won't be enough. Simplifying border procedures, advancing digitalization, and harmonizing tariffs between countries are equally crucial. In this way, Central Asia is gradually establishing itself as a vital transit link between Eurasia's major economic hubs, transforming its geographic position into a strong competitive advantage. Fariza Kalimurzina, Almaty, A News.
And finally, Uzbekistan is taking another big step towards a greener transit network. The country has just received a major delivery of electric buses from China. This comes as part of a wider plan to modernise public transport and cut emissions in Tashkent. Our correspondent Sevil Rajapova has more.
A total of 202 Yutong electric buses and 102 charging stations have been delivered to Uzbekistan as part of the country's ongoing effort to modernize its public transport network. The new buses produced in China will soon be deployed across 34 roads in Tashkent. According to the Ministry of Transport, the environmentally friendly vehicles will reduce harmful emissions by around 93.3 tons per month, supporting the capital's transition to cleaner energy in the public sector. Each bus is covered by a 3-year factory warranty and is equipped with modern air conditioning and safety systems to ensure comfort and reliability. Beyond the transport upgrade, the deal also reflects China's growing role in exporting its environmental brand abroad. In 2024 alone, China exported over $45 billion worth of clean energy products, including electric vehicles, solar panels, and batteries, accounting for more than 60% of global EV sales. Officials say this delivery is part of a broader plan to make 50% of Tashkent's public transport electric by 2030. To reach that goal, another 1,000 electric buses of various sizes, including large 18-meter, standard 12-meter, and mid-size models are expected to be purchased next year. The initiative aligns with Uzbekistan's green economy strategy, which prioritizes sustainable mobility and regional connectivity. Uzbekistan says that with growing cross-border projects such as the China-Kyrgyzstan-Uzbekistan Railway, expected to handle up to 15 million tons of cargo annually, Uzbekistan is gradually transforming from a landlocked to a land-connected country, integrated into new green trade and transport corridors. It is Sevil Rajapova reporting from Tashkent, Uzbekistan, A News.
That's your news update for this morning. From all of us here in the studio, thank you for watching and have a wonderful day.